Amara Ndlovu lived in a small village on the edge of a dusty African town where mornings began with roosters crowing and women sweeping their front yards before sunrise. Their little house was made of faded clay walls with a rusted metal roof that rattled whenever the wind became strong. The house was not beautiful, and it certainly wasn't luxurious, but to Amara it meant everything because it was filled with love, hope, and dreams. Every morning before the sun fully appeared over the hills, Amara woke up and prepared breakfast while humming old songs her mother used to sing. She carefully cooked porridge over a charcoal stove while the smell of smoke and warm food slowly filled the tiny home. Beside her sat her husband, Kwame Adeyemi, wearing worn-out sandals and tired eyes from long days of searching for work. Life had never been easy for them. Kwame worked temporary jobs whenever he could find them, while Amara sold fruits and handmade baskets at the local market. Some days they earned enough to eat properly. Other days they simply smiled and pretended not to be hungry. Still, they had something many wealthy people lacked: belief in tomorrow. At night they sat outside their home under stars that stretched endlessly across the sky. Kwame often held Amara's hand and said, "One day we won't struggle like this anymore." Amara would smile and answer softly, "As long as we're together, we'll survive anything." She truly believed those words. But sometimes life changes quietly. Sometimes storms arrive when the sky still looks clear. And neither of them knew that the first crack in their happy little world had already begun. Days slowly became harder. The markets became quieter. Fewer people bought Amara's baskets, and many returned home with almost no money. Kwame spent long hours walking from place to place asking for work, but every answer felt the same. "No work today. Maybe next week. We already hired someone." Each rejection made his shoulders heavier. Amara noticed changes in him. The man who used to laugh loudly had become silent. During dinner he stared at the floor instead of speaking. Sometimes he sat outside for hours looking into the distance as if searching for answers hidden somewhere beyond the hills. One evening Amara placed food in front of him. "Kwame, are you okay?" He forced a small smile. "I'm fine." But his eyes told another story. Amara wanted to help him carry his pain, but some burdens hide inside places words cannot reach. That night heavy rain struck the roof above them. And while Amara slept peacefully beside him, Kwame stayed awake staring at the ceiling. Thinking. Worrying. Changing. A few weeks later, Kwame met new friends in town. They dressed differently. They spoke differently. They laughed loudly and carried expensive phones, shiny watches, and wore clean clothes that seemed untouched by struggle. Kwame admired them. One of them looked at him and said, "You work too hard for nothing." Kwame frowned. "What do you mean?" The man smiled. "Poor people stay poor because they think small." Those words stayed inside Kwame's mind long after he returned home. Night after night he thought about them. He started coming home later. Started talking less. Started acting differently. Amara noticed immediately. She tried asking questions. But every answer became shorter. Nothing happened. "I'm tired. Stop worrying." For the first time since their marriage, silence started living between them. And silence can sometimes become more dangerous than anger. Weeks passed. Kwame no longer sat beside Amara outside at night. No more conversations. No more dreams. No more promises. Amara continued working every day while trying to pretend nothing had changed. But pain notices things people try to hide. She noticed him smiling at his phone. She noticed him leaving early. She noticed his eyes no longer looking at her the same way. One evening she gathered courage. "Kwame." He looked up. "Yes. Did I do something wrong?" For several seconds he simply stared. Then he looked away. "No." But his voice felt cold. Amara smiled weakly even though something inside her heart suddenly felt afraid. Very afraid. Because sometimes people don't leave all at once. Sometimes they leave little by little. The next morning looked ordinary. Birds sang. Children ran through village roads. Sunlight touched the dusty ground. Amara prepared breakfast as usual. But Kwame stood near the doorway holding a small bag. Amara froze. "Where are you going?" Kwame avoided her eyes. "I need a different life." Her heart suddenly felt empty. "What are you saying?" He took a deep breath. "I can't live like this anymore." The room became silent. No birds. No wind. No sound. Only heartbreak. Amara stared at him, waiting for him to laugh and say it was a joke. But he didn't. Then slowly he turned around, walked toward the door, and left. Without knowing, he wasn't only leaving a poor wife behind. He was leaving behind the woman who would someday become stronger than he could ever imagine. The moment Kwame disappeared down the dusty road, Amara remained standing near the doorway as if time itself had stopped. She kept staring at the empty path, waiting for him to turn around. He didn't. Minutes passed. Then an hour. Then evening arrived. Still, she sat there. Neighbors walked by slowly, pretending not to stare. Some whispered quietly among themselves. He left her. Poor Amara. What will happen now? Those words cut deeper than knives. Inside the house, everything looked the same: the charcoal stove, the cracked walls, the old table beside the window. But everything felt different. Because homes are not only built with walls, they are built with people. That night Amara sat alone under the same stars where she and Kwame used to talk about dreams. She remembered his promises. "As long as we're together, we'll survive anything." Tears slowly rolled down her face. Not loud tears. Not dramatic tears. Just quiet heartbreak. The kind of pain that arrives when reality finally begins speaking. Hours later she walked inside and lay down on her bed. But sleep never came. Because loneliness had entered the house. And loneliness had no intention of leaving. The next morning Amara woke up with swollen eyes and a heavy heart. For a moment she forgot what happened. Then she looked beside her. The empty space reminded her. Kwame was gone. She sat quietly for several seconds. Then her stomach growled. Reality had returned. Pain could wait. Bills could not. Food could not. Life could not. Amara looked around the kitchen and found only a little flour, a few vegetables, and nearly empty containers. Her hands shook. She counted the small amount of money she had hidden inside an old cloth bag. It wasn't enough. Not enough for next week. Not enough for next month. Not enough for survival. Fear slowly climbed into her chest. For the first time, she wasn't afraid of being alone. She was afraid of not making it. But after several moments she wiped her tears away and stood up. If life wanted a fight, then she would fight. Days passed, and Amara returned to the marketplace selling baskets and fruits. But now people looked at her differently. Some showed sympathy. Others showed judgment. Two women standing nearby whispered loudly enough for her to hear. "No man leaves a good wife." Maybe she wasn't enough. Amara froze. Her hands tightened around the basket she was holding. For a moment she wanted to cry. For a moment she wanted to scream. But she didn't. She lowered her head and kept walking. Because pain already hurt enough. She didn't want humiliation joining it. As the day continued, very few customers stopped by. The sun felt hotter. The hours felt longer. And each whisper around her felt heavier. But Amara noticed something strange. The insults hurt. Yet they also created something new. Something growing quietly inside her. Determination. That evening Amara walked toward a small river outside the village. The orange sunset reflected across the water as birds flew through the sky. She sat quietly on a large stone and looked at her reflection. She barely recognized herself. Her eyes looked tired. Her face looked exhausted. Her smile had disappeared. For several minutes she simply stared. Then she spoke softly. Not to another person. To herself. I may be poor. I may be alone. But I won't stay broken. The wind gently moved around her. She closed her eyes. Something changed inside her during that moment. She stopped waiting for Kwame to come back. Stopped hoping someone would save her. Stopped expecting life to become easy. Instead, she decided to save herself. The next morning Amara woke up before sunrise. Not because she had to. Because she wanted to. She tied her headscarf tightly, wore her old sandals, and packed her baskets. Then instead of walking toward the usual marketplace, she walked farther. Toward the nearby town. People looked confused. Where are you going? Amara smiled slightly. To find a better future. The journey was long. Dust covered her feet. The sun burned above her. Her body became tired. But she kept walking. Because every successful journey begins with something small. One step. Then another. Then another. And although Amara didn't know it yet, that road was leading her toward a future nobody in that village could imagine. Amara walked for hours until the village road slowly turned into busier streets. The nearby town was larger than anything she was used to. Small shops lined the roads, motorcycles moved through crowded corners, and people rushed from place to place carrying bags and shouting prices. She felt small. Very small. For a moment fear whispered inside her mind. Go back home. You don't belong here. You're only a poor village woman. Amara tightened her grip around her basket. Then she remembered the empty house. Remembered the tears. Remembered the pain. And she kept moving. As she walked through a crowded market area, she noticed a woman struggling to carry several boxes into a fabric store. Without thinking, Amara ran over. Let me help you. The woman looked surprised. You don't know me. Amara smiled softly. You still need help. After carrying the boxes inside, the woman stared at her for several moments. What is your name? Amara. I'm ESI. The woman looked at her carefully. You work hard. Amara lowered her eyes. I'm trying to survive. ESI remained quiet. Then suddenly she smiled. I may have something for you. Amara's heart began beating faster. Because sometimes opportunities don't arrive wearing expensive clothes. Sometimes they arrive disguised as simple moments. ESI owned a small fabric and handmade clothing shop near the market center. It wasn't huge or luxurious, but people visited regularly. She looked at Amara and said, I can't pay much. But I need someone honest. Amara almost couldn't believe what she heard. Work. Real work. Not temporary work. Not waiting and hoping. Actual work. Tears almost formed in her eyes. When do I start? She asked quietly. Yes, I laughed. Tomorrow. That night Amara returned to her tiny home feeling something she hadn't felt in months. Hope. For the first time since Kwame left, her footsteps felt lighter. She looked up at the stars. Months earlier she had stared at those same stars while crying. Tonight she looked at them differently. Tonight they looked like possibilities. But life wasn't finished testing her. Because every climb upward begins with difficult steps. And harder days were still waiting ahead. Amara treated her new job like treasure. She arrived before everyone else. She cleaned floors. Organized fabrics. Greeted customers with warmth. Stayed late. Worked harder than anyone expected. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. People entering the shop started noticing her kindness. Customers smiled when they saw her. Some returned specifically because of her. Yes, I noticed too. One afternoon she crossed her arms and laughed. I hired one worker. She pointed toward the busy store. But somehow I gained 10. Amara smiled shyly. Inside, she felt proud. Not because she was earning money. Because she was rebuilding herself. Slowly. Piece by piece. She was becoming stronger than the woman who once sat crying beside an empty doorway. One evening after closing the shop, Amara noticed leftover fabric pieces stacked near a corner. Are you throwing these away? She asked. Yes, I nodded. Mostly. Amara stared at them thoughtfully. That night she took a few pieces home. Hours later she sat under lantern light cutting, sewing, and tying fabrics together using skills her mother taught her long ago. She worked until midnight. The next morning she walked into the shop carrying several handmade colorful bags. Yes, I stared in surprise. You made this? Amara nodded nervously. Customers passing nearby suddenly stopped. One woman picked up a bag. Then another. Then another. Within hours, everything sold out. Amara looked at the empty table in complete shock. Something was happening. Something bigger than she realized. Because hidden inside pain, sometimes talent waits to be discovered. Days later ESI sat beside Amara. You know something, she said. Amara looked up. You don't think like someone who lost everything. Amara looked confused. Yes, I smiled. You think like someone building something. Those words stayed in Amara's mind all day. Building something. That night she couldn't sleep. Ideas filled her head. She imagined beautiful clothing. Handmade bags. A business. A future. For the first time in a very long time. She wasn't thinking about Kwame. She wasn't thinking about abandonment. She wasn't thinking about pain. She was thinking about tomorrow. And tomorrow suddenly looked beautiful. Months passed, and Amara's handmade fabric bags became more popular in town. What started as a few leftover pieces of cloth had turned into something people actually searched for. Customers entered the shop asking, "Do you have Amara's bags? Is there a new design today? Can I order 2 more?" At first, Amara thought they were simply being kind. But day after day the request continued. ESI walked over one afternoon carrying a notebook. You need to start writing these orders down. Amara blinked. Orders? Yes, I laughed. Yes, orders. People are waiting for your work. Amara stared at the growing list. 5 orders. Then 10. Then 20. Her hands trembled. Not from fear. From disbelief. Months ago she worried about finding food for tomorrow. Now people were waiting to buy something she created. That evening Amara sat outside her home holding the notebook against her chest. For years she had believed success belonged to people born with money. But now she was beginning to understand something important. Success often begins with ordinary people refusing to quit. As demand grew, Amara's days became longer. Very long. She woke before sunrise. Worked in the shop. Returned home. Then spent hours cutting, sewing, designing, and creating new products. Sometimes she worked until midnight. Sometimes until morning. Her fingers became sore. Her shoulders ached. Her eyes grew tired. But she kept going. One night while sewing under lantern light, she accidentally pricked her finger with a needle. A small drop of blood appeared. She looked at it and laughed quietly. Months ago she cried because life hurt her. Now she smiled because she was fighting for something meaningful. Pain felt different when it had purpose. Outside, rain began falling softly against the roof. Amara kept sewing. Because dreams don't grow while people sleep. They grow while people continue. Weeks later, something unexpected happened. People outside the town started hearing about Amara's handmade designs. Travelers visiting local markets carried her bags back to other places. Small business owners asked questions. Who made this? Where can we find her? Soon new customers started arriving. One afternoon, a woman walked into the shop wearing elegant clothes and expensive jewelry. She looked around carefully. Then she held one of Amara's bags. Did you make this? Amara nodded nervously. The woman smiled. I own stores in different towns. Amara froze. The woman continued. I think people would love your work. For several seconds, Amara simply stared. Her heart pounded loudly. Because sometimes life changes quietly. And sometimes life changes in one sentence. 2 days later, Amara sat nervously inside a small office. Papers rested on the table. Beside her sat ESI smiling proudly. Across from them sat the businesswoman. We would like to place our first large order. Amara looked confused. How large? The woman pushed the paper toward her. Amara read the number. Then read it again. Her eyes widened. 50 bags. 50. Months earlier she struggled to sell even one basket. Now someone wanted 50 products carrying her designs. Her breathing became uneven. Tears formed in her eyes. Not tears of sadness. Tears of victory. She signed the paper slowly. As her pen touched the page, she wasn't just signing a business agreement. She was signing the beginning of a new life. Late that night, Amara stood in front of a small mirror inside her house. For a long time she stared quietly. Months ago she barely recognized herself because of sadness. Now she barely recognized herself for another reason. Strength. Confidence. Determination. The woman staring back looked different. Not because her clothes had changed. Not because money had arrived. Because pain had transformed her. She smiled softly. Then touched the mirror. I made it this far, she whispered. Outside, the stars shined above her home. But this time she wasn't looking at them hoping for rescue. She was looking at them knowing she had become her own rescue. 2 years passed. The small dream Amara once built with leftover pieces of fabric had grown into something nobody expected. Her handmade products were now sold in different towns and cities. She had opened a larger workshop and hired people from nearby villages, especially women who once struggled like she had. Every morning the workshop came alive with energy. Machines hummed. People laughed. Colorful fabrics covered long tables. Workers greeted her with smiles. Good morning, Amara. Morning, boss. The word still felt strange. Boss. Amara smiled every time she heard it. Not because she enjoyed power. Because she remembered where she started. The poor woman who once sat alone in a broken house had become a woman creating opportunities for others. One afternoon 2 women walked past her workshop. One whispered, "That's Amara Ndlovu." The Amara. Yes. The one who built everything herself. Amara heard them. She smiled quietly and kept walking. Because true success becomes louder than rumors. One evening while checking orders, ESI walked toward her looking surprised. Amara. Amara looked up. What's wrong? ESI sat down slowly. I heard something today. Amara raised an eyebrow. What happened? ESI hesitated. Then she said the name Amara had not heard in 2 years. Kwame. Everything became silent. For a moment Amara simply stared. Not because she still loved him. Not because she still missed him. Because some names carry old pain. Yes, I continued quietly. I heard life hasn't been easy for him. Amara looked down at her hands. Years earlier hearing that name would have shattered her. But now, she felt nothing. No anger. No sadness. No revenge. Only peace. She had spent too much time rebuilding herself to return to old wounds. 3 days later, Amara stepped outside her workshop after sunset. Then suddenly, she froze. A familiar figure stood near the gate. Older. Tired. Wearing worn-out clothes. Kwame. For several seconds neither of them spoke. The same man who once walked away now stood quietly before her. He lowered his eyes. Amara. Her heart stayed calm. Months ago she had imagined this moment many times. She imagined anger. She imagined tears. She imagined shouting. Instead, she felt nothing but strength. Kwame looked around at the workshop, at the employees, at everything she built. Disbelief filled his eyes. You did all this? Amara looked at him calmly. Yes. The wind moved softly around them. And for the first time, Kwame understood the size of the mistake he made. Kwame looked ashamed. His voice became quiet. I made a mistake. Amara listened silently. I thought money would bring happiness. He looked down. I thought living was the answer. Tears formed in his eyes. I'm sorry. Years ago Amara would have cried hearing those words. But people change. Pain changes them. Growth changes them. She looked directly at him. Then she smiled softly. Not a smile of victory. A smile of peace. I already forgave you. Kwame looked up slowly. But forgiveness doesn't mean returning to the past. Those words struck harder than anger ever could. Because sometimes the greatest revenge isn't hurting someone. It's showing them they no longer control your happiness. Later that night Amara stood outside beneath the stars. The same stars that once watched her cry. The same stars that once watched her sit alone after being abandoned. But tonight everything felt different. She looked at the city lights in the distance. Looked at her workshop. Looked at the life she built. Then she smiled. Because she finally understood something. Kwame leaving wasn't the end of her story. It was the beginning. Some people enter your life to stay. Others enter your life to teach. Kwame taught her strength. Pain taught her courage. Failure taught her persistence. And Amara taught herself something greater than all of them. No one can destroy a person who refuses to stop rising. Far away, morning light slowly began appearing across the horizon. And Amara walked toward it. Toward her future. Toward the life she created with her own hands.